Hi, and welcome to this episode of Tasty Tuesday. Today I thought we would focus on fair food. As you know, it's fall season, so I thought, well, what would be a good fair food? And honey. So who doesn't love bacon? So I thought we would do a recipe called bacon honey, and it's just 2 ingredients, and it's bacon and honey. And when you purchase your bacon, you want to get a thick bacon, and I actually chose of applewood bacon today, and it's a thick cut. And you also want to select a good honey. So I have selected, I think, a good honey. I chose a wildflower honey for my bacon today, but I have tweaked my recipe a little bit. The recipe calls for 8 slices of bacon and 3 tablespoons of honey, and you may not need that 3 tablespoons of honey, so you can use it sparingly. I would probably do 2 tablespoons and you would probably be fine, because you're not going to just lather it on there. You're just going to put a light little coat of bacon on. Now the recipe called for just putting your bacon onto your pan using foil, and I didn't want to use foil because I thought, well, it may stick just being placed on the bottom of the pan. And every time I've cooked bacon in the oven, I have placed it on a rack so that the drippings can drip from the bacon. And hopefully it'll make it a little crispier than my first batch that I did today. But I've got my bacon here, and what we're going to do is we don't want to overlap it. And again, we want to use a thick cut so it can withstand the heat in there. And we're going to cook it anywhere from 15 to 20 minutes. The recipe that I did this morning, I put it in there for about 15 minutes, and then I actually took it off the pan and let it rest just to see if it would crisp up, and it did. So what I did was I just left it on the cooling rack and put it back in the pan just to see if I can get it to crisp up a little more. So I'm going to place it on here. And if you have a broiler pan, that would work too. So I'm just going to place it. We don't want to overlap. I'm going to try to get 8 on here. If I can't, then you're just going to go with what I can get on here. You've probably seen different varieties of bacon we use. Brown sugar, put it on there. That's really yummy. I've also saw where you can get maple syrup and do the same thing what we're doing today. Just use maple syrup instead of your honey. So I think they got 7 on there. I'm just going to go with 7. I know one year we did bacon during fair season. And if you watch me, it's been a while, we actually did chocolate covered bacon, which was super yummy. So we're just going to put a thin layer of honey on here. And we can come back and spread it. I think once it sits on this bacon, the oil, it'll spread easy. I noticed that. I will say it's easier to spread it on your pan and it's sitting directly on the can as opposed to being like right. I don't know if you've been over to the county fair. This will be the last weekend for the fair. But as I said, it was focused on honeybee. And we actually did like a Winnie the Pooh theme. We actually have some honeys displayed in there from local beekeepers. He showcased their honey. They entered it into our county fair. Well, this will get, you want it to get brown and kind of sticky. It'll get kind of sticky because of our honey. And again, we're going with that thick cut because it's going to be in there a while, and we're adding some sugar. This honey is sugar, so we're adding that. And that tends to get hotter and will burn easy. So we want that bacon to be a little thicker to withstand that cooking process in it. I know if you're interested in beekeeping, you can actually contact our horticulture agent, Key Bailey, and can ask him any questions you may have, and he can help you get started. I put just a little over 2 tablespoons in there. So what we're going to do, the oven's been preheated on 375 degrees. I'm going to put it in there. I'm going to go a little over 15 minutes. I'm going to try maybe 18 minutes. I'm going to keep an eye on it just to see how it does. And if it's getting brown like I want it to, I may pull it out a little thicker. So I'm just going to stick that in there, and we're going to see how she does. And you want to be sure that you put your rack in the middle of your oven. And we just wait till she gets ready. All right, it's been about 18 minutes cooking it this way, and it looks like, I think it has a good color on it. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to bring it over here and transfer it over my whole rack and everything over to my foil, and just let it cool. And I'm going to see if it gets crispy again. So it's going to let it cool. This is what I did earlier, like the recipe showed us to do. And it looks burnt, but it doesn't taste burnt. And my camera guy's already eaten 2 pieces of it. He said it's really good. So we're going to see how this works, though. This is how I normally do bacon in the oven instead of putting it right where it sits in the grease. So I'm going to see how this does, and kind of let it cool, and then we'll be back to see what happens. I was watching our bacon, and I decided to put it back in the oven for about 3 more minutes. I wanted to see if I could get it a little crispier. But I've decided just to be done with it. But I do like how it cooked on the rack as opposed to on the bottom, just laying it on the pan, the bottom of the pan. So you can kind of see the difference in the color from the first batch that I did. And I cooked them about the same amount of time for both. But these, they're not as dark as my first batch. Now these are supposed to be brown, and they're supposed to be sticky from the bacon. So this is our fair 2-ingredient bacon and honey. So I'm going to tear a little piece off you and give it a try. I know it's good. It is good. Now I know my camera guy is 2 pieces. It's super good. I hope you'll give it a try. I hope you will support our local beekeeper, purchase some local honey. I hope to see you next time on Tasty Tuesday.